What's up, Adam? Wanted to go through real quick some mechanical stuff. I've been thinking about some of the stuff we were talking about on Slack, specifically with your stride direction, trying to get a little bit more closed because we saw that with your videos from last spring when you were throwing your best. A good correlation to stride direction. So I think basically what it boiled down to was obviously we talked about you've been doing some drills to get your stride direction a little bit more closed, and they haven't really been translating to the mound. So I kind of wanted to back chain it and look at like maybe why your stride is opening up early now. So I made this side by side. Obviously, this one on the left is from the other day that you sent me, and then the one on the right is from sometime last spring, right, when you were throwing harder. And there's some pretty noticeable differences here. Um, so first, I'll kind of just play it through. And if we look in slow-mo, pretty decent difference there, right? You can kind of tell with even when you play it through the tempo of it, especially the tempo of like how you load is a little bit different. Um, and if we get to our foot plant position, slightly different as well. Main thing I notice is number one, the stride direction, like I was talking about. On the left, it's pretty much more like straight out in front of you. And then on the right, it's just slightly crossfire. And then on the left, the front shoulder is opening up, where on the right side, it's kind of tough to tell with this video, but there's a little bit more of a delay of rotation of the torso, which is gonna just give you more velocity, right? So, um, what I wanted to kind of dive into is the load, and specifically even earlier than that, the leg lift. So, if we look at the leg lift, major thing I noticed right off the bat, if we get to like peak leg lift, it's kind of this angle you're setting, right? So if we look at the angle of your leg, right, you're kind of more coiled up. The knee is basically under your right shoulder, where on the left side, the knee is above your left shoulder or like maybe like the center, right? So you don't really have this coil. And from that, as you start to move forward, on the right side, your hips are counter rotated, right? You're like almost moving your ass towards the plate. And on the left side, it's more of a neutral pelvis, right? And for a lot of guys, typically that's what you want to shoot for is that neutral pelvis. But I think for you, this loading pattern on the right with that closed counter rotated pelvis as you're starting the move is elite. Like we talked about a little bit before, very, very difficult position to get into. And on the left, it's a little bit less deep. And one thing that sticks out to me is when on the right side, when you drop down into this, you kind of almost like there's like a delay, right? You drop really fast and then there's a delay while you hold all that energy and then snap it. Where on the right side, it's kind of everything goes down and forward all at once. And so it might feel faster, but the actual rotation is happening slower. So here I'll play it through. Right? And you can see it in the fast motion too. The left side is kind of quicker all the way through, where on the right side, you drop down and you hold all that energy for as long as you can in that back leg before you let go. One more time. Right? And I think that holding that energy is really you holding the pelvis closed and having it snap open at the last moment. And when that happens, you land a little bit crossfired, but you're still able to get the hips open because you have really, really good mobility and range of motion. And that's when now you're creating a really, really big stretch through your entire torso and into the arm. Where here, since that front shoulder is flying open, the hips aren't firing as quickly, the stretch and the force you're sending into the arm is not as much. So I think the main thing for you to focus on is kind of getting this coil when you first um, leg lift. And as you first start driving towards the plate and dropping into that back leg, is having the hips counter rotated so your butt is facing towards the target, right? And I'll add into your program a new drill, the janitor drill, which will kind of help you work on this. Um, Besides that, I want to keep a lot of stuff the same. Same thing with the rocker drill, having it start closed, doing some of the stuff uphill, but I think I'm going to replace back shaping with some janitor throws, right? And what that's going to do is kind of just get you into a position closer to this on the right that had you throwing gas. So let me know if you have any questions with it. Um, I know it might be a lot of information that I'm throwing at you, but honestly, it's pretty minor differences. I know you've gained some weight. You said you're like starting to move a little bit better. So I think this right here is just going to be able to get you back to where you're feeling explosive. And especially with like the workload management stuff we've been working on, I think it's really going to start to blossom for you. So keep at it. Obviously, if you have any questions or if you want to hop on a call and ask them, let me know. I'm more than happy to do that. But besides that, I guess last thing I'll mention is with the lead leg, it really isn't like a huge concern. I know I said that in the Slack. I think cleaning this up will most likely clean up the lead leg block. Um, so I wouldn't necessarily have that as a focus of like, I need to fix my lead leg. Like you're strong in the lead leg. You know how to rotate the hips. It's just about getting it timed up and synced up right. And when you do that, I think the lead leg will come. So I think the main focus during throwing is kind of getting that coil as you first start to move down the mound and holding the hips closed as long as you can. And then as far as drills for it, having that focus during drills, but then also doing the janitor drill. So again, any questions, just let me know. Um, yeah, peace.